You go into the ring, you don't come back as you leave. Some part of you dies in the ring in every fight. At least 10 people lose their life in the ring every year.
What are the legal issues that a living boxer faces?
You walk away. If you kill someone inside the ring,
10 people.
we built a full ecosystem for sports in UAE, especially for pro boxing, which is the oldest and the biggest governing body in boxing in the region. Everybody's bill is paid from the earning of a fighter. The fighter puts his life on the line, makes money for everyone around the sport to keep the sport alive. If somebody's telling you, I'm not scared, then they're lying. Everybody's scared to go in. Everyone is under immense pressure. Same like entrepreneurship, not an easy call. You really need to figure out, are you built for it?
If you're ready for the lonely nights and depression and upset and self-doubt, if you want make money, be a hustler, to be an entrepreneur, you need to also have that leadership in you.
If a fighter doesn't believe he's the best, then it doesn't make sense. To give everything in the ring so that you don't, when you finish the match, you feel like there was nothing left. Some fighters end up with lifelong trauma. They have depression, they have issues after the fight, and nobody's going to take care of you for that.
Today, we are not just talking about boxing. We are talking about courage, discipline, pressure, fear, resilience, and what separates champions from everyone else. Our guest today is someone who has spent years shaping professional boxing across this region. In his journey, he's worked closely with fighters at every stage, from young athletes chasing their first opportunity to world-class champions competing at the highest level. He's witnessed the victories, the defeats, the sacrifices, and the incredible mindset that it takes to step into a boxing ring. Let's invite Jose Mohan, the founder of the Middle East Professional Boxing Commission in the UAE. Hey Jose, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Hi.
So Jose, for someone who wants to know you, how would you introduce yourself? Who is Jose Mohan and what is his mission?
On what I do, like, I'm a sports entrepreneur. I built, or with my partners, we built a full ecosystem for sports in UAE, especially for pro boxing. And it was not something planned. It was, it was because of the passion or love of the sports. I was in it, and then eventually it became into a business, and it got me to where I am right now. So if currently who I am, I had 𝑚𝒉𝒊𝒔, which is the oldest and the biggest governing body in boxing in the region, in the whole Middle East. I also had the Saudi Boxing Commission, which regulates all the shows in Saudi, all the pro boxing shows in Saudi. So through 𝑚𝒉𝒊𝒔, we had the reach of the whole MENA region. We have done shows in Egypt, we have done shows in UAE, we have done shows in Saudi. So look at the past 10 years, any big professional boxing event, like, when I say pro, means which is sanctioned by sanctioning body like WBC, WBA, or IBF.
When you say WBC, we are talking about World Boxing Council.
Yeah, WBC is just one of the 4 organizations. People know them a bit more, but they are equally, like, they are same as WBA or IBF or WBO. There are 4 major organizations. So we work with all of them. And so if you look at the region in the past 10 years, any major world titles or any events that happen, it was sanctioned by 𝒚𝒉𝒊𝒔. So 𝒚𝒉𝒊𝒔 is a regulator, So to explain that, I'll need to explain you what is a boxing commission is.
Can you please explain us in very short?
Yeah. So anywhere in the world, right? When it comes to pro boxing, it's like entertainment/sports. So most part of the world, there are either a government entity or a private organization which regulate that sport and that jurisdiction. Like in UK, there is British Board of Boxing. In Japan, there is JBC.
Like IPL in cricket.
Like in IPL, it's regulated by BCCI.
And then the private body comes.
Then the private body comes in to run it. So private bodies in boxing are the promoters who run it. They make the money. They spend the money. They have the athletes. They spend on the athletes. They make the money from the athletes. We are just regulators. We come in. We regulate the things. We put the rules in place. We appoint officials. We make sure it runs. There is no things are because boxing is a dangerous sport. People can lose life. So we make sure it's run. The compliance side is taken place. The safety aspect of the sport is taken place. And that's what we do. And we are limited to that. Our role is not to be the front face or to market ourselves or show that how big. Yeah, that's the job of the promoter or the fighter. In boxing is all about the fighter and the promoters. It's not about people like us. We are there to do the dirty work, you could say, and just make sure it happens. Right?
So technically, can I say in short that you're the body that actually that governs the compliance, will govern the rules and the fairness of the game?
Yeah. Compliance of the game, appointment of officials. So we decide, even if there is a world title fight, there could be judges from, example, I'll give you a scenario, like 2 fighters, one from Ukraine and one from UK. They want fair judging. So they will say like, oh, we'll have like 10 judges, a pool of 10 judges,
as a panel.
And from there, we choose 3, because on the night there will be 3 judges who will make the scoring for the fight. So we have to run it through both the camps. Everybody has to agree. So we kind of mediate all these kind of technical negotiations, make sure that everybody's happy, and also in our framework, people like, you see the belts are for the organizations, what I said. So they also come in and join us in the process. Like on a very basic level, they provide the, because they own the rankings, they own the belts. So they are the ones who give you who is the champion.
When did your love start for the sports? Who inspired you actually?
I remember when I was a kid, I used to...
You come from India, right?
Yeah, I come from India, but I've lived between East Africa and here. And,
okay.
So kind of...
So when did your love really,
I used to watch boxing when I was a kid. I used to watch Mike Tyson and stuff. So I always want to do the amateur boxing. But when my family was like not like any Indian family, like they were not keen for me doing sport. Somehow I got into amateur boxing. It was just to try it out. Then I got stuck with it. But I was not great as a boxer. So I just did it a few fights, then stopped.
Okay.
Then
so you started as a boxing?
Yeah, I started boxing.
As a boxing career?
Not as a career, so people play cricket, people play football.
Okay,
so
fine.
I just box.
Just for the love of the sport.
So it kind of give you kind of that. I don't know. It really connected to me with my, with my on a deeper level. I felt like so. I tried it, but as a kid, I tried it when I was 15, 16.
Did you get inspired with someone?
No, I can't say anyone specific. No, not with inspired with anyone. I can't say but I was inspired by the sport itself. Maybe, so all the personalities in the sport, like Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, or like those days, like when you look back, not even those were not people who were relevant when I was in my age, but all the historical, they would have.
They were the real heroes of the sport.
So they would have inspired me, but I can't say like I was inspired by a specific person. I was inspired by the nature of the sport itself. Then I did it. I was like, I didn't have much coaching or, like training. So I just did it. I compete. It was like I won, I lost. So I was not doing great as a boxer, but I still loved it. Then it didn't, but it always stayed as a love, So whenever life got tough, I got back to boxing. So I did IT, computer science engineering, but I never want to be in IT. So whenever things goes bad, I go back to boxing. So whenever things so I had like 2 startups failed, we tried a few things in East Africa, I failed, then I got back to boxing. So I was always getting back to boxing just for so either training kids or working with local federations or, so it was just my volunteering. It was
your passion.
Thing.
It was your passion. It was your love for the game.
It was kind of a therapy.
And somewhere brought you back to your roots again.
Yeah, so it was keep me bringing back as a therapy to, to help me recover and go back. So even in Dubai, when I met, the founder of Round 10 Boxing, so that is kind of the first. You could say it is even the first boxing gym in GCC, or Round 10 Boxing, 2013 started. So when I met the founder, so that phase I took a break from the career and And then I was thinking, let me just go back to boxing again. And like, so it was a gym. It was just a boxing club starting. So I was not even on a level of thinking that I could be a coach, because I know a coach needs 10, 20 years of proper experience of training at least, and I didn't had it. So I
and also you need the hands-on fight and all those experiences.
That experience I was lacking, but I was in the sport. So I was being very transparent with the founder. I said, see, I love the sport, but my background is
but that has always helped you with the administration part.
Yeah, that always, the engineering and the business side of things, which in the future that helped me. But because I had both, that helped me to build something. So I was very transparent with them. I said, like, see, I love the sport. I have limited experience in amateur boxing, but it doesn't, So, but he was like happy to just give me a chance. He said, okay, let's try to work together and see where it goes. So from there, the gym wanted to run shows. There was nothing in Dubai at those point. In 2013, there was a national federation. They used to do amateur fight. They used to do 2 tournaments barely in a year. So there was, for a fighter to develop, you need to give them activity. They need to fight. They need to fight in a certain number of times a year. And there was no, in pro fights, there was nothing. Dubai was like zero. Not even Dubai, I'm saying the whole region. So because like my founder for the Roundton, like his name is 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒐𝒎. Maybe 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒐𝒎 and sons. So one of the son, he stepped out of the family business. He had a passion for boxing. So he's the one, 𝒊𝒅𝒐𝒎 and Abdullah Khoury, they started the gym. And I joined them like in the early days just to help out with the gym, like as a business, So after the gym moved forward, because it was the first gym in Dubai, it got the traction, and it got like it went really well in those days. From there, like the demand, there was a natural demand of pro fighters start to come to us saying that, hey, we need to fight. Are you guys organizing events? Are you also doing shows? So as a promoter, Ahmed had to do shows. So he had to do shows, and there was no regulatory body here. There was no commission. So fighters from US or from UK,
they're ready to fight, but there's no commission. They
want to ready fight, so there is nothing. So if they want to fly in, their federation or their commission won't release, because for them, Dubai is like a wild west.
It's more like a wild fight then.
Yeah, so who are you fighting? Who is checking after your safety? Who's your doctors? Is there doping control? So there is nothing. Like now, if there is a fighter fighting here, even if it's Anthony Joshua or the biggest athletes in the world, if they're fighting, their federations know us. Like the British Board of Boxing knows, like, okay, if there is a show in Dubai, MEPB or Jose is sanctioning, it's governed by a reputed organization, so they can release their athletes
to go and fight.
To go and fight and come back.
They get certain.
There is an assurity that the fight gonna happen. There will be experienced judges and referees. The fighters' health is taken care of. Doping is handled if it's needed to be handled. So that framework was not there. So everybody was confused what to do. So we tried to bring in organizations from Philippines, from China, we tried to work with everything, So because there is nothing in Dubai, and we have to get the shows running, small shows. So like there is a lot of Filipino community here. There is a lot of Filipinos. So there are a few guys from Philippines and stuff. They helped. They brought a team from China and Philippines in the first, I think, 2016, those days. That's how it's really started on a very low level. Like, I mean, for like we run it on a football ground, like a very small show. That was our first step.
But also I do understand all this journey that started, and of course the board is now is having its own credibility. My question is that since you have watched these players playing from such a close lens, and almost you're governing most of the tournaments that happen in this region, and also the bodies that are incorporated in different countries are relying on you whenever the sports is played. The first question is that what's the mindset of the player before he goes into a ring?
Everybody is like, see, every athlete, even if he had 100 fights. I mean, I'm just saying 100 is a big number, but even if he has 20, 30 fights, he's always nervous. So they have their zone in the dressing room. Everybody's in their zone.
Okay.
And I believe everyone is under immense pressure. But once the fight starts, then they feel home in the ring, because they're built for that. They've been training, they've been sparring, so it's like they belong there. But the nerves are high till the moment you walk to the ring and the fight starts. But when the fight starts, then they feel
Yeah, I mean, then almost the adrenaline rush is then somewhere
like
it's
example, if you went down
relaxed.
to do a skydive or a bungee or something, right? The more what is the most scariest point before you do it? Like you jump. Your last second is your most scary thing. Once it starts, then your nose settles in. So every athlete,
So pre-match, what's that mental preparation that they do?
This is very personal with each fighter and each camp, So when you see, like, if you go to a dressing room, you'll find like some fighters are just listening to music, some fighters are just on their own, some pray, some just, but they have from the sports side, they have their warm up and their, build up towards towards the fight. But mentally, what they do is depends on each fighter. Some people, some are like, have friends, they talk, they cheer. Some they play music, some just have it on a headset. So they're on their own world, preparing themselves.
They try to calm down
to get to that ring walk, and then inside the ring, and when the first bell ring and the first punch is done, then everything.
Then they go into that flow.
Then everything sets it. Then it's all fine. But
have you come across fighters that are literally like they are fearful from inside, but yet they can't show it?
I mean, everybody is fearful. There is if somebody is telling you I'm not scared, then they're lying. Everybody is scared to go into.
Everybody's scared, yeah.
Everybody's scared to go into the ring, and everyone admits.
So is that they have mastered the fear of controlling it?
It's not controlling it. You have gone through that process. You already know, right? You start you start as a amateur fighter. You have those small fights. So when you have or a pro athlete on a bigger stage, you have gone through that ring walk and lights multiple times, So you know what is your nerves. You know what you're gonna go through. So you know you're gonna be scared, but you already know once the bell rings, then you're gonna set in. And as you're fighting someone who you're studied, and it's not like a random. You're fighting someone who you prepare for 2 months. So you already, your mind is set that this is going to happen,
But at what age do you think that, that one should actually start thinking about the sport if he's really interested to walk the ladder on the professional sport?
Professional sport, you need to have at least traditionally, if you want to be in pro boxing, you need to have a very elite amateur career. You need to at least should have represented your country for and played at least 100 amateur fights. I would say that makes you, that at least gives you a judgment of, are you really in it for the sport, or you just want to be in it for anything else? So if you want to be in it if you really don't love it, it's a very hard sport. It's a lonely sport, boxing. So you won't stay. It's very tough. It's a lonely. I mean, it's in a way you need your team behind you. But it's always you. It's all about, it's a very personal sport. So if your why is not big enough, you may not survive. Even if you are super talented. So the amateur boxing provides you a very good platform to
decide whether you can actually continue with this professionally.
You're real to it. You're really true to it or not. Example, same you guys are same like entrepreneurship. It's not an easy call, right? You do one, you drive one thing, you try another thing, it failed 2, 3. So you really need to figure out, are you're built for it or no? Some people are not built for it, and some people make more money in.
What do you mean by built for it? Does it require? Do you think that
not the physical?
Not all.
Everybody is not built.
Everyone is not built for boxing.
That's
the character I need to have. Do I need to be stubborn, aggressive? What's that mindset do I need to have?
You need to have that feeling of giving everything in the ring. Like you need to have so much of mental grit or patience to go ahead and train every day when things are good, things are bad. You show up, and you keep training, because it's mostly, it's a very high physical conditioning intense sport. So it's not even a skill. You need to have the skill, but you need to equally have the training behind it. So you need to put your work inside the gym. So conditioning defines 80% of a fighter. Even if he has a skill, even if he's talented, So if you are not conditioned, you can't perform as a pro athlete.
So do you believe that discipline plays a very important role?
Discipline plays very big role, very big. And if you are not built for it, if you don't have that relief, why you're doing it, am I doing it to show off to my friends, or am I doing it to make money, or really I feel like this is me, or I'm zero without it. So example, like the currently the heavyweight champion, Tyson Fury, he always says that he retires and he comes back. He retires, he comes back. So he says that I'm from a traveler gypsy background, so I can't. This is what I love to do, and this is all I know. I don't know anything outside it, and this is me. So if he's not fighting, he don't find himself in anything, like an artist who's a painter or a singer. If you tell him stop singing, then he's like, sometimes it's not even the money.
It's like fish without water.
Yeah, it takes your purpose out of your life. So if you don't box, if it takes the purpose out of your life, then it makes sense to you to really choose to be in it. Otherwise, it's not an easy, because you only make money when you reach at the top. So you have to pass through 7-8 years of surviving.
So it's just not hard. Passion. It's more about madness about the sport.
It is just not. Yeah, not just passion. Like, I mean, passion would take you to a certain level, but it's not. You need to be built. That's why I say you need to be built for it. It's not like there will be a lot of athletes who even have the skill or talent, but they don't make it because they lose it at some point. They're like, example, like you can do any normal job and make a decent money and have a family and live. And why should you go every day, get sparred 2 times a week, get hit on your head, go back with headache twice a week, recover, bleed, train, run like 3 times a day, 3 times a week, at least do 5K runs, depends on different coaches, So these many training sessions, again, separate strength conditioning sessions, then fights, then a career which is barely not paid good till you are like famous. And you want to go through all this sweat and blood and tears, and then people won't even accept. It's a lot of self-doubt that you'll make it or not make it. And then you go through that for like, I'm not saying 1-2 years, I'm saying like 8-10 years of a career. Then you reach that your 8th or 9th year, you may reach world ranking and start making money, and then you can lose, and then you go back to zero. So it's a very tough call. So if my brother, or if I have a son or a daughter who want to go into the sport,
how much is about family courage? How much courage is needed to be given by the family for someone who's just entering the sports, because they can't be seeing their kid getting bashed every day?
Yeah, I mean, that's also something. But you see, this is also like your social background. Like, I mean, there are things there are cultures, or like, like example, like Mexico or UK or in US, there are cultures or families which kids are used to their father's box, their son's box, their uncle's box. So they have seen boxing as a, they know it's a brutal sport, but they don't see it as like that savage as another culture may look at it. But still, when somebody's been in sport, it's you really know what you're gonna go through it. So it will be hard for me to send my kid into the sport. So there are only very few fathers who would make a choice of do they want their son or a daughter to be back into the sport, because it's a tough sport, and it's a very non-forgiving sport in terms of even business. It's a very brutal sport.
Because when I was, even when I look at MMA as a fight, I mean, if someone wants to fit in a shoes like Khabib, I mean, what's the mindset that is needed?
Yeah, you could see Khabib's mindset is very, very much out there. Anybody can read or see his videos. So he was being like so much devoted in the sport as a family from the kid, like, not partying, not going out, every time dedicated. So people don't see that years of dedication. People just see the limelight, and I can guarantee you there are hundreds of Khabib, but only Khabib got to that success.
Yeah.
So there are people who live. There are a lot of people who live like Khabib and put that much of effort into the sport, but only one person makes it. That's one. It could be talent, promotion, opportunity you get, but there is no guarantee that you're gonna make money or you're gonna hit success.
But don't you think it's his madness not to lose any of the game, because he was never ready to lose any game? That was something which he had promised himself and his father.
Yeah, his father. Yeah, so he can promise, but it doesn't mean that it can happen. It's a fight sport. Like he could find someone better than him, and he could also lose. He's human being. So he was lucky in his face that technically there was no one, but in another MMA timeline, before or after him, there would be fighters who are better skilled than him. So I would say like his unbeaten record is just a matter of it's hard work and also luck and also the time where he existed, But
what about the do or die attitude?
Do or die attitude, and see,
especially in the ring.
In the ring, I think it's always do or die attitude. If you don't go for it, then the other person is gonna take. So it's always the do or die attitude in the ring, So it's like it's not. If you don't have the do or die attitude, then don't go into the ring.
So what separates a champion mindset from someone who is ready to accept the defeat?
The champion mindset is just not what your mindset inside the ring. It's also what you did in your training camp. Plus, it was how good was your team around you, your coaching, your preparation, your meal prep, your strength conditioning. So it's like your family's support. So it's a lot of things together creates a champion mindset. It's not like you need to have a lot of factor together to put you in that right space of mind, to take you to that, to make you perform in that high level, right? So,
do you believe it's all about the belief as well?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's first, if you don't believe you are going to be a world champion, then don't even do it. Self-belief is very important. So even if you're not good, for me as a technical person, I usually analyze fighters if they are good or not good and all this. But as a fighter, he need to believe he's the best. His coach or manager would know that he's limited or he's good for this, he's not good for this. But for him, he need to believe he's the best. If a fighter doesn't believe he's the best, then it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all, because of course his belief carries all the weight.
All the weight, yeah. Then you don't have you lose your earth below.
So the mental belief is more powerful than the physical fight.
You need to have the mental belief as a basic criteria. It has to be there. But if you don't have the physical preparation in pro sports, it's not gonna, like you're gonna be gassed out in 30 seconds if you are not in it. If your camp was not proper, it's gonna show in the first round, in the second round, or in the third round. It's gonna show because you have to the other person gonna, even if he's not that talented, the work gonna catch up. The work gonna catch up in the later rounds. So you can't.
So the physical toughness also is needed.
Physical preparation is equally. It has to. So it's like all these things. Then the technical superiority of the fighter, and then how
the team support as well.
Team support, and then it's like after all this, then it's a chess match. When everything is in place, like your conditioning is there, your mindset is ready, your preparation was done properly, your management did what they had to do, and then two fighters go in, then it's a chess match between them. Who is
See,
smarter, who is faster.
I'm not a big follower of the sport, of course, but we know some decorated names, or the top celebrity names, or the greatest boxers, we could say Muhammad Ali, then I think Mike Tyson,
everyone knows,
Floyd Mayweather,
Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao from Philippines.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to understand, what was the mindset of someone like a great Muhammad Ali?
See, Muhammad Ali was a phenomenon. He was he was a personality. He was a global personality. So it's just like some athletes become stars. Some becomes like legends. So Muhammad Ali was a legend. So he was like, I believe for him, he did boxing. So he was like, people like that, whatever they do, they're gonna end up being a legend. So they are like personalities or characters outside the outside the box of what a normal person thinks. The way he behaves, the way, and also for him, the values he stood for. He went against his governments or government when things, he took a stand against. I think even in the Vietnam War, and so when you are just an athlete but you influence things outside, or when you influence the geopolitics or the whole influence a country or youth's mindset, then you become bigger than the sport. So Muhammad Ali was definitely bigger than the sport. Like Mike Tyson was also bigger than the sport. Like, I mean, there is no one who doesn't know Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
It's like Mike Tyson is as equally known as Jesus Christ, you could say. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like.
So how Mike Tyson was different from Muhammad Ali?
Mike Tyson was different because at that era in those days he was fighting, he was like scared as a heavyweight. Like he was like, anybody who puts in front of him, like it's like he was intimidating and he was scary for people to fight him. And somehow, like that intimidative look and his nature and the knockouts and his pedigree, that created that aura of Mike Tyson around the world, which never left. Like people still, like when you say pro boxing, people still think about Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, especially
Correct.
in the third world countries or like in India or in Asia. It's like Mike Tyson still is a craze.
Correct.
So his career was over. He had some downtime, and then he came back in the movies and stuff. But in a lot of part of the world, he's still a very irrelevant star.
But I wanted to still understand, because we've always looked up to Muhammad Ali, and people, whenever in the boxing world, people always talk about Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. How different was Muhammad Ali in terms of technique and in terms of mental toughness as well?
Technique. See, right now the athletes, I know their managers. Even if you like, or people like Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, or like the top heavyweights, Usyk. So I know I work with their lawyers. I know the managers. They have fought on my shows I worked on. So I have seen them fighting. Like Floyd Mayweather, even we had exhibitions in Dubai. I was the one sanctioning it. So Floyd, example, Amir Khan, who lives in Dubai, is a friend. So these current fighters, I can really feel them because I've been around them. But when you ask about Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson, I'm just telling like you or anyone else from what is material has been available, And with my current experience, I connected, and then I can give an opinion. But I can't give an opinion of like how I could give an opinion of current fighters, which I've been, on a personal level, I've been around them. Technically, you're asking technically, and
I'm just saying like in terms of technique or in terms of...
I say Muhammad Ali was technically superior, very superior athlete. So he was like, as we say, his personality, technically also he was very superior. And he had very big self-belief. And he has his charisma and character was amazing. So the show that he puts on in the ring and before the fight, and the way he talks, he intimidates the opponent, he makes fun of them, and that was like he had a sportsman, like showmanship. I'm not saying sportsman. He had that showmanship. But should understand that there was even equally good fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson or like there is Sonny Liston. There were like a lot of fighters who heavyweights. Even Holyfield was technically very good. So there were a lot of fighters who were technically as good as Muhammad Ali, or maybe on some things, you cannot really. It's very hard to define in boxing. Like, so you could say that this fighter has a better jab, or this fighter has a better footwork than this fighter. This fighter has a better defense than this fighter. But to overall say that somebody is technically superior it's not very objective, So
But Jose, when we often read about Mike Tyson, they often say that the speed of his game was exorbitantly very fast.
Yeah,
he used to fight like literally, and he used to not get tired. I think that was something. I think he had a lot of physical adrenaline that was keeping on pouring in his body every time whenever he went to the ring. I don't know how far this is true, or I think maybe you could tell me how different was Mike Tyson when it came to the ring fight.
He was physically gifted, yes, but he used to be known for knockouts. So he used to stop the opponents, so he used to knock them out in the first round, second round, third round. So Mike Tyson was someone who people are just waiting when he gonna finish the fight.
Yeah.
So for him, it was about that brutal knockout stoppage. So it was not about
the brutal force.
Brutal force and the speed and the power of his punches. That was scary. That was the scary part with Mike Tyson. So he could just go into the ring and maybe knock you out in 10 seconds. So people couldn't blink. They just stay watching because they don't know when the fight's gonna be over, because it can happen at any point that he can just throw a punch and
his precision of the blow as well.
Yeah, he was when he was fit and was at his best. So there was later in his career he lost fights and but in his peak he was very defensive, like with his head movement, and it's like he was very, very complete as a fighter. His defense was specific. Like his coach Customado, it has a special peak. They call it the peekaboo style. It's like a special style of fighting. So that's with his fitness and his physical attributes, which suited him very well in that generation of fighters. And and at his time, at his peak, it was very hard or almost impossible to beat him. But when he became older, when he lost his power and speed, and then he used to go rounds. He used to start fighting 10 rounds, or
correct.
His rounds got longer. But in the early fights or in the early days, like he was like just knocking out people.
But you see Floyd Mayweather, I mean, how different is Floyd Mayweather Jr.? Because he's 50-0. He's not lost a fight. I mean,
that is an example of like a business in boxing. Floyd is like more a businessman than a boxer. So he was best. He was best technically at his time. But he has also managed his career, picking and choosing his fights.
Okay.
When to fight a champion and when not to fight a champion. It's the best example, like how Floyd managed his career, because Floyd also they call him pretty boy. Because there was a phase when Floyd was very, very aggressive. He used to fight like he was in the initial days. But then his hand had injury and stuff, so he had to change his style. So then he became pretty face. So he started focusing more on defense, and his tactic style changed.
People often consider Floyd Mayweather as a mental fighter.
People consider him as some people watch him because they love him. Some people watch him because they just want to see him lose. So he says that regardless of people are going to watch me, so I'm still winning, because if you like me or if you don't like me, you're going to watch me. So Floyd was more a businessman, and he did it right to get to 55, But it's, I would say his career was well managed, And there are better fighters who has lost, who may be 40-2, or example like 50-5. Why? Because they lost. Because they are not as good as Floyd, but they were not they didn't navigate the space as good as Floyd. Floyd did the best in his time, in his career, because he made the right moves. He fought the fighters at the right, like example, Oscar De La Hoya. He fought Oscar De La Hoya when he could really beat Oscar De La Hoya. He fought Manny, I could say, like when Manny was diminishing and he's coming off his peak. So a lot of fights, I would say Floyd fought the fighters when it was on his advantage, not on the other guy's advantage, because he was the star. So he could choose when he want to fight.
Even in the Floyd versus McGregor fight.
Floyd versus McGregor is a star. I would say that fight is a transition fight. In this,
it's more of a commercial deal.
It's a commercial deal, because you shouldn't look at it. We already know that an MMA fighter against a boxer is a big mismatch.
Okay,
but
can you explain this in detail?
Okay, I mean it's two different sports. So if a person who practices boxing or spends a lifetime as a pro athlete, and for an MMA athlete who just does boxing as a part of his training, a little bit training, he will never be as good as a boxer. Not because of any MMA fighter as bad. It's like,
and vice versa.
And vice versa. Yeah, and vice versa. So you're doing two different things, It just matter that, example, like you do something day, like 8 hours, and I have, out of my routine, I have 5 minutes of what you're doing. And then if you try, you expect me to excel at what you're doing the full day, it's not going to work, right? It's like, and they are both athletes. They are both skilled. It's not like, okay, a guy from the gym, a normal guy from the gym who's an MMA, who trains MMA for fun, or who trains boxing for fun, then if Conor fights, he will beat him. But 100%. Not another athlete who is like, so Floyd. So it never, but now the sports have changed. The people want to see fantasy fights. They want to see like the Conor with Manny fight was Mayweather fight was a beginning to that era. Then people started having these matches, influencer fights. So that industry really picked off. Because, people want to see what happens when when he fights. It's like...
But those influencer fights are really not fights. They are more about a commercial deal.
They are a commercial deal, but some are fights. The sporting aspect of it is right. They are run by officials. They're like, we've run influencer fights. In Qatar, there was a show for Misfit. We run it. So they are real fights. But the quality of the fighters, those influencers, or as an athlete, they are coming from 6 months of training. And a real boxer is coming from like 16 years of training. So it's very... it's very, but they have the fan following, they have the views, they have, they bring money on the table because
at the end of the day, you need the money and sponsorships.
At the end of the day, you need the money, you need the sponsorship, and it's not, as I said in the beginning, boxing is not just a sport, right? If it was only a sport, then it would have been amateur boxing. It was same, there is no difference. Why pro boxing is a total different sport, because it's mixed with entertainment and sport. So it's about entertainment and showbiz, but you have the sports elements which has to be taken care of. The rules are set and it has to be managed, but it is done for actually entertainment.
But don't you think that every sport is like that? It has to be a mix of entertainment as well, because otherwise how do you attract crowd?
But fight sport is more, fight sport, like how much you need to sell the personality of a footballer for someone to watch the football. You don't need to do that much. If somebody loves football, he's gonna come and watch his team play. But when it's fight sport, it's like, you need to know the character of the person. You need to sell the personality. So you need to know the person who goes inside the ring. You want to relate to him. Like you could see legends in tennis or in golf, right? People are mad because of their sports acumen, their talent. Have you seen people look into their personal lives or what they say or their personalities? No, not that much. You watch the tennis because you watch the tennis. So that's the best example of sports, and but tennis is professionally
a single sportsman.
Single sportsman, professionally played. Everything is the same. The money is sometimes even bigger, but you don't go peek into the life of the fighter or of the athlete or his personality, or you don't have that showmanship. Or you go into the court, you do your game, you win the Grand Slam, you're famous, you make your money.
But Jose, this is something that people can do right now, because why don't you expose your personal life if required? If people are interested, because you can make it as an entertainment as well, along with you being a professional athlete.
Yes. You have so I'm not saying that that's absent in tennis. It is there. It is there, but it's not that crazy as the fight sports business. The fights in the boxing or in the fight sports business, it's like you have to really sell yourself as a personality to get to that. Like example, like Alexander Usyk, he's like undisputed heavyweight world champion currently, but I know 90% or 99% of the normal people who follow sports and follows boxing may not even know his name. Why? Because he's not a larger than life personality, but he's as good as anyone who ever boxed. So you can be like a normal athlete in show business, like in boxing, but then you won't stand out. If you want to be remembered, you have to have that character. You have to have that bigger, larger than life personality. Then you become.
But Jose, what I believe that in Hindi we say that that हर खेल में कुछ तो मजा होना ही चाहिए ना. So it's like that. Like you have to have certain a little bit of entertainment in every sport. There has to be noise. Like when it came to 𝒂𝒏-МcGregor fight, there was so much of chaos before the fight.
Yes.
There used to be a lot of media hype that they created, and then if you see, the internet crashed. When did that happen? It's only because the match was glorified to that extent. And the fight between them was considered as historic fight. It was more about fight of their beliefs, principles,
like styles, and So this is how it goes larger than the image, So does the promoter planned it? Was it? I'm not saying exactly scripted, but did he use the best way to promote it? Yes, If without all this, you take all this drama out of it, you just put Khabib and McGregor, and this fight doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
So you give it like a pure sporting perspective, it's nothing. People don't care about it. But when it comes to what Conor believes and Khabib's personality, his values, what's Conor's values, and like
the pre-match interviews
and beliefs. So that's why the sport is different. Like that's why like. Even pro boxing or MMA is different from a normal.
So don't you think that this, even the federation or even the associations like you people have certain sort of media responsibility to improve the viewership of the sport?
No,
not really creating in terms of hardcore value clashes, but in terms of just showing that okay, these are two different personalities and both are going to clash, and they both have really good strength, and then there is enough publicity done before the match plays.
See, this is done. This is exactly why we have a promoter.
Yeah,
that's why, because they make money, they spend money, they build a narrative, they put the fighters together, they make sure the fighters are paid, they're taken care of, and they take that commercial risk of how much bigger the story you want to build. And how much money you want to make off. So as for me as a body, my role is even to be neutral and just facilitate the process, not to be involved in the commercial side of it. So it's like, is it good to do that? It's good to say the story of it, but it's inappropriate for me to say the story of it because I'm not the person to say the story of it. And there are better people than me who are in that role. So example, there is Eddie Hearn or in Matchroom, and there is like people like who are the experts in doing it, building the narrative and saying the story, and has the media and power behind it. They're doing it. Like example for UFC, when it happens, Dana White runs the whole storyline, like the
Correct.
whole campaign behind it. So he's the best person to do it, and let him do it. Not like if the fight happens in Vegas, it will be like it will be the Nevada Athletic Commission who oversees it, like how we do.
Correct.
You don't even know them, or they don't even come front of to talk about it, because our job is to get the right judges, get the right referees, make sure make sure the medical standards are met, the fighter goes in the ring safe, come out of the ring safe, the contracts are being taken care of. So for us, it's a very boring job, part of it.
Yeah.
But who has to do the question you asked, like, it's a responsibility of the promoter.
Yeah. And but somewhere you are also the beneficiary of it.
We are the beneficiary. Yeah, we benefit from this system.
So if the promoter is given certain liberty to go and do that, then maybe you could be the beneficiary as well. And maybe from a broader aspect, you could find the whole sport benefiting out of it.
Yeah.
And you could find better talents that can come up. Maybe because there's more money, there's more viewership, there's more, you could say much more visibility to a lot of athletes. So therefore, I think it could be more inspiring. Because media has become such an important part when it comes to, showcasing any personality.
Yeah, it is like, it's 100% right. So the more the viewership, everybody benefits, right?
Yeah.
So even we are relevant, same, because it's a business. We are only relevant if the promoter and the fighter makes money. If the promoter is not doing shows, I would just say that, hey, I'm the commission and I sit home. What do I'm not relevant if there is no show. You regulate when there is, you have to do some, if there is money on the table, there is money to be made in the sport, then the promoter is interested to put on a show together. If a promoter is interested to put a show together, then you need so I'm just a need of the sport. It's not like the main fundamental building block of the sport is the fighter. The core of this business is the fighter.
What's the very reason, Jose, that you selected Middle East and you did not? You come from India.
Yeah.
Do you feel that India is not ready for boxing as of now?
Choosing Middle East because I was here and it happened by accident. It was not my vision. I would be like really transparent to say that. Like, it was not like my plan to do it in Middle East because I saw a gap. I would say in terms of visionary, because I'm a Siddiqui, he was like, the guy who brought me into this in the region. He had a vision of the region, that the business gonna grow here, or it would be the next Vegas. But I personally, I didn't carry that vision because I was not fully related to the place till So my vision actually grew with the business, with the body as it grew. Because when I started, I didn't know it's gonna end up being like, if you ask me, we are like, there are regulators who are private and from government. Like in US, it's all, the commissions are all government. Like all the state has its own bodies. In Asia, there is private, there is governmental. So the British Board of Boxing, Japanese Commission, and us, like if you rank it, like the biggest private regulators in the world, so we could say we are the third. And and the other British board is like 100 years old. JBC is maybe 75. We reached to that. We catch up in like 10 years.
In India, I related a lot to Mary Kom. Mary Kom inspired the entire generation. And after Mary Kom, we did not find any other female boxer coming out from India.
Yeah, I would say like there, in terms of like, talent, like, I mean, there are. It's just that they don't get like Mary Kom had a 20-year career, I think, even more could be, And like example, like 𝑾𝒊𝒍𝒍, who is currently in, I think, even in Mary's weight class. She's technically very good. She's doing as good as her or even better. But in India, like, people start appreciating someone or it's too late when they are almost faded out of their career, or a movie comes out of them. You don't appreciate an athlete when he's going up. You kind of start knowing them when they're almost expired or they're moving out of the
But she was always in limelight when it came to world championships.
She got like six,
and also
six,
even the Olympic
she
medal.
got an Olympic medal and six world championship medals. So from India, 𝑾𝒉𝒂𝒕 was exceptional. But also, if 𝑾𝒉𝒂𝒕 could have done much better if she would have turned pro. Like another very disappointing example was like 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒐. 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒐 was a very good talent. Easily could have been a world champion in pro, or at least fought for a world title. If he win the world title, I don't know. But fighting for a world title in Madison Square Garden, or as an Indian, he could have been the first person who could have done it. But because his career was mismanaged, so I don't want to pick names to blame someone, but after even getting a bronze in Olympics, turning pro was with one of the best promoters in UK, who are like even my close friends, like, Then he changed from that to Top Rank, and Top Rank is also one of the best US promoters. So even having the best, so in amateurs he did the best, he got a bronze.
Correct.
Promotionally he went into the best promoters, which is first was Queensbury. He left Queensbury and then he went to Top Rank. Top Rank also was the best. In India, people lack opportunities, but he had. And then he also was famous. So I have only seen his fight where there was one event when he fought in Mumbai, in Bombay, right? There was like Abhishek Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan, all the big names showed up, because he was a face of. He was a pretty face.
No, 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒐 actually made it very good to the highest level.
To highest level. So he kicked off the pro boxing if you ask me, like in terms of pro, who kind of started it, 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒐, right, was the one who kicked off the pro scene in India.
Have you seen the 𝒉𝒂𝒕 biopic played by Priyanka Chopra?
Yes. I think I didn't watch the movie because it's, for me, it's like, because I'm a guy in the sport. Did you relate to that? If movie? I watch a movie, it may look a bit funny for me because it's like it may not be. Movies are made for fans, not like because somebody who knows the inside of the sport, it may look too like it's not a.
Did it find real?
It won't be. I presume. I think I have watched clips of the movie, but I don't think it's real. The comeback, and it's like it's more of dramatic story told. Reality is like very.
Do you think 𝒉𝒂𝒕 was a gifted player, or was it that she was? I think was it just a mere hunger?
She was more a hunger. I think. There are technically, it's not like like the skill. It's like more. I think her determination and hard work, and that's what made her different.
Do you think that more and more you're hungry? It's when you think that sport is.
Sports suits a character like that. Sports suit a character who are hungry, but even your skill, your physical ability, and that has to be like there. If you're not made for it, even if you're hungry, I mean, it's like I'm a singer, right? If I want to be a singer and I say I'm hungry, I'm passionate, but I'm not good at what I'm doing, or I'm not gifted, you can't go beyond the limit, right? You can manage to a certain. So same like 𝒉𝒂𝒕 is good, but maybe her grit and the hunger is exceptional that helped her to stick on to this long. That's why I'm like, even I explained at the beginning, you see, like to stick on to the sport for 20 years, you can't do it if you're doing it for fame, or if you're doing it because she would have reached her peak of fame, and then you will kind of give up because you got everything that you could have got, Like example, Tyson Fury currently, he would have had like more than 100 million in his bank account. Given like you have 100 million in your bank account, will it motivate you to get up in the morning and go run in a cold weather and again come back, have breakfast and then sleep and again get up and train and then evening again do sparring, train 3 times a day for a camp of 2 months and again go beaten up by someone when you know that you have couple of $100 million in your bank account sitting, and you know that your kids, everybody's taken care of, and still you want to put your body through it. You will only do it if you really
There is a certain level of madness
in it. Like people like me, like I to be true, I may not do it. Once I reach, maybe I have a number, I reach that number in my head, I would be like, why should I put myself through it? My kids have a career, my family's stable, and I had millions, I have name, I have fame. So why should I again go into the ring and risk myself, put my everything into it, right? It's a logical question. So if for a fighter, and so many like legends of world champions, that it doesn't, the brain don't work like that. They still do it even after being, there is nothing beyond they can achieve, and they still again go back and do it.
Have you come across boxers who have died in the gym?
No,
died in the ring?
In the ring, yeah. Like, see, in boxing, at least 10 people lose their life in the ring every year.
10 people?
10 fighters lose their life in the ring every year. It could be a brain bleed. It could be like a... So that's why the regulatory side of boxing is very strict. We have pre-fight medicals, post-fight medicals. But still, there could something go wrong. There would be injuries. There would be like situations which are not even visible in an MRI, which pre-existed from his last fight or in a sparring, which can be triggered from a punch, and then it could be a brain bleed. It's like there are people who went to coma, who never recovered. There are people who lost their life in the ring. So that's why like the fighter is the one who gives everything that he got. He puts his life inside the ring. So he is the cornerstone of the sport, not promoter, not sanctioning bodies, not commissions. So especially the boxing is built around the fighter.
Yeah, I mean, boxing is completely built around life and death.
Life and death, yeah. Because if you could go into the ring, whenever you go into the ring, you don't come back as you. You come back, you leave some part of you dies in the ring in every fight. You come back, if you go in as 100%, you come back as 98. Then you go 95. So, like you never come back as yourself. Your brain cells that you lose sometimes are not even regenerated. Some fighters end up with lifelong trauma. They have depression, they have issues after the fight, and after your career is over, nobody's going to take care of you for this. You're left with all this, So it's a brutal sport.
Yeah. At what stage does the fighter starts fearing the ring?
Fighter don't fear the ring. The more he get abused, he get used to it. That's why the role of a manager and people around that's why a boxer should be around the right people, because even the sanctioning bodies and the promoters, everybody, when it comes to money, they all could try to take advantage of the fighter, because everybody's bill is paid from the earning of a fighter. So in this business, the fighter fights. So a fighter fights is 100%, maybe 20% goes to the manager. 5% goes or 3% goes to the sanctioning bodies. A percentage goes to a promoter. A percentage goes to the running of the show. So ultimately, it's like the fighter puts his life in the ring
and shares his money
to everyone to keep the industry going. So everybody works. The sad thing in the sport right now is, like, especially some sanctioning bodies, they think they are like the custodian of the sport, or they act like, the sports belongs to them. Actually, the sports belong to the fighter, because nobody risk as much as a fighter in boxing. So the fighter puts his life on the line, makes money for everyone around the sport to keep the sport alive. That's why, like, people like that's why commissions and managers and promoters, everybody has this ethical and moral obligation to give back to the fighter in terms of his safety. So for us also, the major thing is like, if an event happens, we make sure that we have the best ring doctors on site, or we make sure that there is a level 1 trauma center at the 15 minutes from where the event is happening, and they are informed, so that if something goes wrong, at least somebody goes back to the family. At least, and we also can't guarantee it, but we at least took all the measures to save a life.
Are boxers protected with insurance?
Boxers are not always protected by insurance. Not always. In some countries, yes, it really depends on jurisdiction. Sometimes they get a life cover. There are life covers, there is permanent damage covers, but sometimes there is no cover for regular injuries, because it's not easy to be covered for boxing, because you're going to get injured. So insurance company won't really give you insurance. There are some countries which is easier, but like Middle East, it's harder.
Yeah. What if while boxing, the opponent dies? What are the legal issues that because the living boxer faces? He walks away. He doesn't. It's a legal permission to engage in the sport. So if whatever happens to your opponent or yourself, the liability is limited. I mean, there is nothing. So if you kill someone inside the ring, that's the only place where you can. If you kill someone and you walk away, you walk away. But because both parties signed the consent.
Yeah, both both parties are fighting on the consent, and it's like, okay, if a guy goes, even if there are things like you shouldn't hit back of the head. You know? Even something like that happens, it's still never. It is a foul. It's not manslaughter. So even if somebody dies of a foul, it's like a foul, and people have
not be considered guilty.
Yeah, I mean, legally it gets tricky to a certain point, but if someone dies in the ring, it's like no one is liable. It's because the boxer knows that he could lose his life in the ring. That's agreed.
What's the peak age till when the boxer performs?
Boxing career starts. There are countries which like pro starts when they are 16 years old. They finish their amateur career 16, 18. They turn pro. You can be pro till 40 years old, but if you're a higher weight class, it varies from also your amateur experience. If they had a long amateur career, then you don't continue a pro career too long, But it's very subjective too.
So, but a 15 to 20 year career can actually, if you take care of your health well, and if you fight while planning
plan properly with a good team,
you can actually continue for a 20 years. Yeah, 15 to 20 years.
Career you can have. Definitely. 15-year career, you're still very much.
As a coach, what's the motivation that one gives? Because the mental motivation is more important than the physical training, what I believe. In the entire conversation, what I understand. Because even when the sportsman has to go to the ring, I think the mental motivation is more needed.
Now there are like example like Jake Paul. He moves around with a spiritual guru in his dressing room. So there is somebody who speaks to him and put him in the right mindset. But in old school days, it's always a coach who believes, and who puts the fighter in the right. It's not just put the fighter in the right physical state. He's also put the fighter in the right mental state. In between the round, before the fight starts. So I've even seen like example, there are personalities like Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas has been in the corner of Mike Tyson, and like very legends. He's still so he gives like few inspirational talk or pep talks to fighters, which even changes the fight. You're losing the fight, and then when in that 30 seconds. You have 1 minute. So in 1 minute, 30 seconds is usually you try to let the fighter recover, and you kind of, then the 30 seconds you kind of give the feedbacks, because you don't talk 1 minute, because you also need to. So you may talk maybe 20 or 30 seconds. In that 30 seconds, I've seen coaches change the fight. Sometimes it's not a technical advice. Sometimes it's a emotional two-sentence push, or like, something what triggers, that, like the very emotional quotes that the fight, the coaches say, and that changes the fight, and that changes, and you can see that a guy who has been losing goes back into the ring, wins
Just
the fight.
pushes the adrenaline.
Yeah, it wins the fight, So there's so many instances like that even if you just YouTube it, you'll find like 100. Nothing is just coming to my head, but I've seen like hundreds of it, hundreds of it. Like I forgot which fighter he was saying that, see, if today is your day, like you want to do it for I think it was a day when his father died, or his father was in, the fight. So the coach says he brings his dad into the contest, and it really changes the fight, and he goes back and wins the fight. Like there's been a lot of scenarios like this. So coach is very important, and at the same time, a coach who is not positive, or he's not in the right mindset, will definitely affect the fighter.
Jose, what will be your advice to the Indian Boxing Federation if they want to improve the sport in that country? Because, even the smallest, what will be your advice?
I mean, you need to invest in young athletes, and give them opportunity, which they are doing. I would say, I can't really advise amateur federations what they're doing, because I believe they're doing what they're supposed to do, But always put the fighter, keep your politics and things on the side, because in India, what happens is the bodies are selected 4 years, the leadership changes, and, and it's more political than runs as a structured organization. But even however it is, always put the athletes first, always put the fighter, and not the fighter who's already a star. Not the 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒏 or 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒍𝒍. Always put the upcoming athletes as the priority, than focusing on the administrative stuff and politics and, and your personal interest. If you put the athletes first, then you will see the difference. And not the famous athletes, the regular kid in your gym. Give them the priority. So it happens if you would see what has happened in our the wrestling federation, I don't want to mention names. So if you would have put athletes first, the people who are heading the federation won't be heading. The federation the athletes don't exist for the federation. The federation exists for the athlete, right? The organization and the sport, the structure exists for the athlete. Not that the athletes exist for the federation.
If the athletes are not there, the federation itself becomes irrelevant.
It is irrelevant. So, but when people run organizations, they take it as granted that they think that they are more important than the athlete or the sport. That's why what you see is happening, and we are going in this direction.
Are you following the Indian politics recently?
A little bit.
So there's a new party that's come, and I think that's 𝑾𝒊𝒂𝒕 Janata Party.
Yes.
And have you seen that? I mean, they are getting some new reforms. And what I see is that they have recently changed the education minister.
Yes.
And I feel if someone is listening to us, and if this conversation gets through them, maybe they would take active participation in going and changing or putting competent people, at least in these other federations, where you think that real players are required, real sportsmen are required.
See, sportsman and administrator is two different things.
But don't you think they should blend together?
They should blend together, but there should be an understanding. Example, I would say I was a very poor, not a high level sportsman. I did boxing just for fun on a very casual level. Did it for just being fit. I understood. I played the sport. I've done sparring. I understand what happens in the gym. I spent time in the gym. But I'm not an elite athlete to be representing a country but I understand the sport. So then when I became a sports administrator, I know what happens in the ring. I know what happens outside the ring. How does a fighter's life, what happens in a fighter's life, what happens in the dressing room, what are the things, what are the mental issues he goes through, what is his mindset before the fight, after the fight, in the competition, outside competition, relationships around athletes. You're coming from that ecosystem, or you understand it at least.
Correct.
So that really helps me as a sports administrator, because when someone comes to, I already know 80% of the story, what's going to happen. But there could be people who are purely from, I'm like a mid scenario. I understand the sport, I understand the administrative side of it. There could be somebody who was not in the sport at all, may be so good enough to catch up and do it better, and he was never in the sport. Okay, so if he does his job well, then I believe you shouldn't hold him accountable. But in India, what we are seeing is it's not being done properly.
Correct.
So definitely that shows that you need to hold them accountable. It's
Yeah.
like definitely like especially like federations are run by people who has no clue of federation, of no clue of the sports, has never spent maybe
Even
a
time
half day watching. Then it will be, if they are not they were not even fans, or if they would have not even took a
even
popcorn
associated with any
player, nothing, never spend time into and then if you put them on the top of it, there is a chance, you can't rule it out. There could be a chance they're genuinely passionate. They learn, they improve, they assimilate, and then they build on it. But there is a very high possibility that they
will fail. Yeah,
because you have you want to run a hospital, you bring a management guy, or you bring a pure management guy, or you bring a management person who also was a doctor, or who had
at least had a medical
experience. Definitely he knows what's going on. He's more likely to succeed, right?
Because it's important as well as a leader of the administration also to know what's going around in the world.
Yeah.
And where do we sit when it looks from the lens of at least a bird's eye view of where does our sport sit when it comes to global sports.
Yes.
Like when it comes to cricket, you're seeing so much of money, time, viewership, or so many sponsorships are invested into building cricket. And we can see in the lens of global world that, okay, fine, India is a cricketing massive nation. But when it comes to boxing, I don't think, even though we have heroes, we've actually built the federation so strong.
When you're speaking for federation, see, it's box. In India, it's only cricket, I would say. Even football is not commercial. They are losing money. If you have read about it, ISL is struggling, teams are struggling. They've been given a franchise model, which is if you study it, it's not going to work. It's going to crash. So IPL worked because of, I don't want to bring up the names, but the people who were behind it were smart, and the system was there. The eyeballs were there. It was just to segregate or collect the eyeballs and put it in the right place, and then just, and it was not easy, but the people who started IPL and whoever it was behind it, they did the right moves. In football, we don't have the eyeballs. We don't have the commercial engine behind it. There is no spawn. There is no, so it's already failing. Even in football, it's failing. So boxing is a sport like anything, like badminton or tennis or anything in India. So which I'm not saying boxing. Every sport is facing the same issue, that we are not able to commercialize it, and it's not the problem with the federation. It's like federations need to do what they need to do. Like you can see in badminton, right? There were private players who came in, like Padukone, or they have institutes, they train in athletics. There is like JSW, there is institutes there are private institutes. They invest in athletes. They spend money on athletes, and then they try to also bring up sponsorship, so that if there is no private-public partnership, the sport's not going to move forward. You cannot blame a government federation for not doing enough, because the government federation, at the end of the day, they have a budget. They need to take care of the administrative stuff. They'll keep taking care of the administrative stuff. If the sport has to grow beyond a certain limit, you need to have private funding. You need to have private funding. You need to have people put their time and money into it, build clubs, build arenas, bring eyeballs, build stars, build athletes. So this is not just in boxing. So the same thing is happening in boxing. And boxing, like, and you need to connect to the global fan base. In cricket, like an Australian, how does an Australian cricketer becomes famous? When he plays in India, he gets the fans, Or a South African becomes famous, like 𝑽𝒊𝒅𝒐 was famous because of the Indian fans.
Correct.
So when you get the fan base from the core fan base of the sport, you become famous. So in boxing, if you need to be famous, you need to get the US and the UK fan base. That's where the core fan base is. And once they are respected in that fan base, then they're gonna become famous in India.
So how do you commercialize a dying sport?
Commercialize a dying sport? You need to bring back stars. You need to pump back. It's you need to follow the money. It's just you need to revive. See, usually there are like in any business, right? There are bottlenecks like which stopping it from growing. So if you look at sports also, there would be something that hindering the growth. It could be like either lack of funds. It could be like a very bad federation, which is very likely. Because as I said, if somebody want to grow the sport, right, you can, like, it was not, I won't say it was BCCI who grew IPL. It was a private entity that grew IPL, and okay, BCCI supported it. It's not the federation. Maybe in that case, maybe only FIFA you would say that the FIFA was the one who drove it, because it's the older sport, and their model is a bit different. But in other places, in other scenarios, most of the sport is driven by, especially in this generation, was driven by private entities, private investment. So first is like you need to have stars in it. You need to have fan following to generate that. You need to build that ecosystem. So you need private funding.
But if you see, India was able to somewhere create a commercially profitable sport in Kabaddi. If you see, I mean, Kabaddi is not globally followed, but even within India, they are able to commercially profit that sport. Why do you think that any other sports can't grow? What's the reason?
No, it can grow. So that's why. But if you look into Kabaddi was done by private.
Yeah, private
investment. Yeah, right. So now when it becomes famous, then a federation or entity can support it and do the right thing to make the sports better, or to give it a framework to make it sustainable. So every other sport has to have the same, like somebody have to come forward to give it that push. If the government gives that push, it's fine. If like example, I'll tell you, like how does jiu-jitsu grow in UAE? Because the Abu Dhabi royal family was passionate about the sport, and they were really investing in pushing jiu-jitsu forward. Like why do Saudi boxing is like Riyadh season, which the bigger events that we do is in Riyadh season. Why it's like they are bringing, because there are like people in charge who are really passionate about doing bigger boxing shows, So if somebody is driving it, who has the money and the muscle power, then it would move forward. Organically, if a sports will get popular, it's very hard.
It's very hard. I mean, organically, unless you have that financial push, nothing will move forward. And it has to be, if that has to be commercialized, 100% you have to get top celebrities. I think what you said is very true. Even the ISL, I don't know whether they are really making money, but
they are not making money. I mean, I'm speaking about on inside, like they are to a phase where they are really struggling as the franchise model and as the clubs. So the only success story we have could be of the IPL, which was already like
it's a super sport.
Super sport, which and then maybe the Kabaddi you said, which is an exception, which. And then there are like standalone models of successful sportsmen, like small pockets where people have built athletes or managed sporting entities. Like a lot of boxers comes from JSW. It's a project by Jindal Steels, and there's also another organization called I need to check, but these are semi-private players who invest into Olympic programs, and so there are athletes coming because they take the athlete, they put them in residential, they put them in camps and they train them, they take care of them, they invest in them. So then you get the final output. It's not like always athletes are like 8-10 year projects, So it's not easy to either.
But Jose, I want to ask you one thing, that even though you said the ISL, the Indian Super League, is failing, my question is that even when India has so much of viewership for FIFA, why don't they have viewership for ISL?
Because people when they want to watch entertainment, it's like the star power, like you want to watch. There are people in India who will watch Messi is playing, or when Cristiano is playing in Premier League, but they will miss the local matches. So what Saudis did is, now what's happening in Saudi is like all these players from English Premier League, or or are they are moving to, they're bringing those players to their local leagues,
Saudi leagues.
So that is, now it's bringing, they are growing, and that bringing eyeballs, but also like there is a lot of investment made into it. If you bring the star power to India, it will happen faster. But otherwise, you need to build the star power in India, which is an 8-year, 10-year thing, right? If you start with the kids who are like 16 years, and then like 16 years of wins, 16 years, they're already very good footballers, and then you move give another 8 years, then you may have stars. But in football, I don't, it don't take even my numbers, because it's not my, expertise.
Yeah,
but
I do
I'm just giving a random thing. So maybe if they start at 8, then you need that 8 years to build them as stars, and then they are not, by 16, they are not even stars. They are very good athletes, but then you need to make them a star. That takes another 4 years. Like, and the money you would have spent on one person would be like couple of $1 million, especially if it's football, So then you need to have like at least 50 stars. So you're speaking about spending $100 million to revive an industry.
And you need to have regular games as well.
Yeah, you need to have
to push people to give. There has to be
fans, has to be so, and then it's like but football is doable thing in India. I think it is doable. It's just that need the right people behind it and right system. It is doable.
The last football star that I followed was Sunil Chhetri. I think after that, I don't know any other.
Boxing will be even tougher because it's an individual sport, and the amateur federations are doing good. Our amateur team is doing good in Asian level, competitions. Our female team is one of the best in Asia. In amateur, our team is like 2nd, 3rd, 4th. The best is Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, then sometimes US, sometimes India. So we are in the 3rd or 4th in amateurs, in world rankings even. Some by number 5, which is not bad. It's not at all bad. But after the athletes finish their career as an amateur, like they continue in a government service they work in railways, or they never turn pro. So when you turn pro, that's like the real career awaits in boxing, if you want to make a big name or a statement in boxing. So there are few athletes like Nishan Dev, who was in Olympics, who was an Olympian. Now he turned pro because he had a little bit of exposure. He understood. I think he learned from the mistakes of Vijayendra Singh and people who was before. So he's, from what I look at him, he's doing the right thing. He's with Matchroom, one of the best promoters in UK. He's doing good. There's another kid called Faizan Anwar. He lives in Dubai. He has like 21 pro fights. 21-0. So he's good. So there are 2, 3, and there is like Neeraj Goyat. Maybe you heard of the name. He's done a little bit of reality TV, and he's also a boxer. So he has more than 1 million followers on Instagram and stuff.
Okay.
So he's doing the mix of it. He does the fighting, and he is also an influencer, personality kind of thing. So he's also doing good. So there are very few names in India.
So his fights will commercially bring some traffic.
He fought on you remember there was a Netflix show. Netflix showed Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. So he was on the undercard. And there was a lot of views in India, from India for so there is small pockets, but these may help, may not help. You can't It's too early to predict them.
They all need fuel.
Yeah, they all need.
If a 15 years old boy is watching this, or a 15 years boy or girl is watching this conversation of ours and wants to become a professional boxer, how does he start?
It's simple. Like, I mean, I will say about boxing, but it's mostly related to anything, you know. First, you need to find the right coach. And you need to be in the right community of people with the right mindset, you know. So like how you guys are doing, you know, you guys help entrepreneurs. So if you are in a world where you don't even able to meet an entrepreneur himself and understand what he's doing, then you will never be. It's not easy to be one. You need to be inspired by people who are around you. So you need to find a coach, you need to find the right gym and stick to them till you grow to a certain level and be consistent. You know, if you keep changing your coach, keep changing, you know, you just listen to YouTube and take advice and go around 10 people, you'll not, it's not easy. It's like, you know, the real world in the sports, what happens and what people believe on the online space is a little bit different. In sports, you need to spend time on, especially boxing is a repetitive sport. There is no magic to it. It's all about repetition and doing the right thing, getting the fundamentals right, a coach helping you. So if you find the right coach, spend time with him for at least a couple of years till you feel like you're grown enough that the coach cannot move you more further.
Mastering the rhythm.
Yeah.
Mastering the rhythm.
So you feel like your coach can't take you forward, then you can change the coach. But don't like start and then you change a coach every month. It is not going to help you, you know. So find the right coach, test few people, find the right coach, stay with them, stick to him for a time till you then then if you want to turn pro, look for a manager, find a good manager who knows, like, who understands you and you understand him, and then start your journey. If you get to a certain level of success, then the promoter is gonna come for you. If a promoter comes for you, that means you're wanted. When you're a stock which has value, you don't need to chase people. People will chase you. When you are not good enough, you will have to run behind opportunities. But if, like example, like if you are an Olympian, if you are in Olympics, in amateurs, represented the country, found a good coach, start training, found a good manager, then to find a promoter is very easy. But if you've never been an amateur, you are not a good fighter, you are like, you know, you just start training, then to find a promoter is almost impossible. Because promoter, what he want to do? Like I said in the beginning, he wants to make money from you. People think that promoter is the one who gives you the money. No, the promoter is the one going to make the money for you and take his cut. And the manager is the same. The coach is the same. So everybody looks at how good you are to work with you. If you are not good, or if you are not good getting opportunities, it's not because of they're not willing to work with you. It's just because of how good, you know. It's a self-explanatory situation of how good you are. Like if same like in entertainment, if an artist is very popular and good enough and minting money, there will be a lot of agents to work for you. But if nobody wants to put you on a show, then it's simple. Like no agent want to work with you, because why should the agent spend time on you? Because nobody wants you. Or else you need to find a manager who's experienced and who believes in you that you could be a talent at some point. So then he invests in you because he believes that he can build you and you're going to be good in the future.
But do you believe that at the initial stage only of your career, you need to keep in mind that for 15 to 20 years, you're going to stick to the career? Is the vision important?
Vision is important. You can change tracks. Like in sports, like you see, like in any sports that happens, so not just boxing, you can stop fighting, you become a coach, you can become a cut man, you can move into a manager, you can turn into fitness boxing. You know, your life, you just make connections from the sport and you end up doing something else. So, you know, your life can take you different places. There is no strict hard and fast rules. But if you want to stay as a fighter, if you're not ready to put in like that 10, 15 years, you won't be able to make money out of it. From fighting, from inside the ring. From inside the ring, you know. you may get opportunities. You may build your network, because it's a very like it's like being an actor, or being a singer. You may build connections, networks, so you could make money or influence, or you could build your social network and you could make money from that. But if you want to make money inside the ring, it's very hard in the early stages. It may take you 10-15 years when you start making money.
Can anyone become a world champion by just working hard and without being naturally blessed?
There are people who have done it. There are people who have done it who are just average, but was very hardworking and made it. But I can't give it as a general statement, because my opinions has to be technical. So if it works for 2 people out of 100, I'll better not say it. I don't want to be a motivational speaker for box. People who want to get into boxing. So realistically, I would say, like, if you are, it's not possible. But if it's like, there will be a person, there will be like one out of 1,000 who may prove me wrong. That is there in any sport, in any, you will find someone, you have those inspirational stories and movies and in real life examples who turns things around in their life. But that will be a 1 out of 1,000,000, but on a practical scenario, it's not.
But what separates a champion mindset from an ordinary athlete?
When you say champion, ordinary athlete, I would start from the basic benchmark that he has done all the training, all the preparation. He has the right team. He has the right mindset. And then if you have everything, then that's when I'm speaking about mindset. Okay, if you have not done all your basic stuff, then there is no point of speaking about the mindset, because then you're not going to even make it. So if you have done everything, if you have done all the pages in the book, then the last thing would be, I think to give everything in the ring, to give everything in the ring to get to that point, so that you don't, when you finish the match, you feel like there was nothing left. You could have done more. If you feel like you would have done a little bit better, that means you are not done everything to win, So that, I think that's...
Jose, how to remain continuously hungry even though you have reached at a peak?
That's also like how people are built. That's why I give you example of Tyson Fury. So when you know that you're comfortable and you have money in your bank, you find that motivation to get up in the morning and go for a run in the cold. That's what separates a legend from a normal athlete, or a world champion from a normal athlete. So that's hunger. It's person to person. Some people have the families inspiring them. Some people have a dream. Some people are built in a way that without the sport they are nothing. If they don't fight, they feel like then they're not themselves. So it could be either one of it, but it could be, I think it's a very personal thing. It's different for different people.
Do you find sportsmen literally after their career having mental traumas, or they're losing their track in life?
Yeah, there is a lot of athletes, especially like boxers, who have issues after they finish their career, because especially if they are mismanaged. Because the head injuries eventually puts a toll on you. Like the sparring and the gym, and people can have depression. You can have there's a lot of things that you could go through if you are not being managed. And some people continue fighting into their career when you don't have the right people around you. There is no one to tell you to stop. So if you leave the ring at the right phase, at right time, then you're safe. But if nobody's there to tell you the right time to stop, then it's gonna get, you may even end up losing your life in the ring.
What are the common habits of the best fighters?
Common habits, I think they are very consistent with training. If they have fights or if they don't have fights, they are consistent with training. They're consistent with managing the weight. They're consistent with they stayed focused in the sport, even if they are having a fight, if they don't have a fight. So their consistency with being in the gym and training, if they have a fight or not have a fight, separates the average fighter from because that's what make them a a human being for them. Being in the gym, spending time in the gym, not and they genuinely feel complete when they do that, and they feel empty if they don't do it. So that's like breathing for them. So when people like that, they are more likely to be successful than someone who goes to the gym if he has a fight. Oh, I have a camp, so my camp starts in 2 months. If I don't have, let me just wait for my, because you don't train every day like you are. So, but people who are consistent, who keep that thing going, are more likely to be successful.
What do they ignore?
What do they ignore? I think when you're young, right? You even overtrain. You ignore rest. You ignore sleep. You ignore maybe getting out, going clubbing. You ignore wrong relationships. But when you get matured, you understand that your sleep, your recovery, your mental state, which is maybe your girlfriend or your wife or your partner or your family that brings in. So these are all very important, and you can really ignore it. You may think that you're not performing or there is something going wrong, but these are like few cornerstones. If those are not right, you cannot. And your diet, I forgot, even I didn't even speak of, like if you're eating wrong, then whatever you do, you're not gonna get to a certain level of performance. Your diet, your mental state, your sleep, your relationships, this all adds up. These are all basic things which, if it's not taken care of, then even if you're a super talent, it's gonna break.
So are you saying that discipline alone can be a biggest contributor in your in achieving your objective?
Very much, yeah. Motivation is, like you say, I've seen motivation is like a thing, but discipline is what makes you or break you, Which I can say because I'm a lazy person, so I find it very hard to be disciplined. So I could say from that, I believe if I wish I would have been more disciplined and motivated. I could have done better, but that is what it is.
Give one advice which no one should follow.
Okay, you can be the best boxer from watching YouTube videos. No, but generally you can learn fundamentals from YouTube. Yes, you can learn fundamentals from YouTube, but then how to process the information is very tricky. It can get tricky because it's not another. It's a fight sport. If you learn tennis from YouTube, if you learn golf from YouTube, and if you play it, and if you get hurt in tennis, you're gonna injure your elbow or your ankles, but in boxing you're taking damage. So when you start sparring, you need to have a serious coach who has your best interest with you, not because your YouTube coach can't help you inside the ring. So it's like you can learn your fundamentals, your movements, but if you want to really get into the ring and spar, you need to have people with you, like a coach with you who understands this.
Let's get to the last part, is about your entrepreneurship journey as a founder of this of the commission. What was your experience? What was those experiences where you were not prepared and where you felt that, okay, this is something new?
Okay, when the boxing scene started in Dubai, the scene, it was non-existing kind of, So there was when you go to a mature market, like a promoter knows what he has to do as a promoter. A manager knows what he has to do as a manager. A coach knows what he has to do in the corner. A fighter knows his responsibilities. So you are coming from a mature market. But from here, nobody knew their roles and responsibilities. It was like a very loose system. So it was a bunch of people, a group of friends trying to be the promoter, trying to be the commission, trying to be the coach. Everything was in a one bucket, So I had to it was a really tough challenge to put people in their roles, and because they know you, so you have to, it's very hard to tell them that, hey, this is your role, so you don't need to do less, you don't need to do more, because then it's conflict of interest. So it was very hard for me to kind of
break the work.
And let people do what they need to do. Sometimes the coaches, there are coaches from US who lives here, who kind of, who are like who has been around the boxing, but they are not pro coaches. They train people in the gym. They are not, or they have been around fighters, but they are not like a coach who takes a fighter from zero to, like a coach, like a pro coach is a coach who works with a manager and a fighter and is part of the team. And there is a team. It's like it's a contractual agreement. You get paid as per fighter fights. You move with the fighter. The fighter is your responsibility. You're not a personal trainer. So in Dubai, it's mostly personal trainers, and so they do a coaching a little bit. They do boxing as a little bit part-time because they are basically personal trainers. So it was very challenging to get the work done or make them understand the system, and to understand that, hey, you're training the client and managing a fighter is different. So even sometimes they're coming from matured markets like US and UK, but they are not the actual pro coaches from there, so but they think they understand. So it was very hard to break and build them in the right way. And that process is going on. I think it is very hard. But when there is a system, it's easier. But when there was no system to build walls and put people in each blocks and let everybody do their own job, and then things to move forward was tough. So I have done basically in the whole journey, I've built rings. I've been assembling boxing rings. I've been running the broadcast side of the shows. I've cornered fighters. I had to I had to judge fights sometimes. So I've done everything, which I shouldn't be doing, but I have done everything, which helped me to also grow and learn. But because when you're building something, same like a business, you kind of end up doing everything in the early days. But now it reached a point, we have a strong team. We have a very competent team of inspectors to manage the backstage. We have a very good team of officials, judges, referees. We fly internationally, people from Nevada and Vegas to work with us when we work on Saudi shows, so we have a relationship with all the international commissions. So now when I look back, I would even laugh at myself what I was doing. But at that point, that was very much needed. And that really, if I go back 1,000 times, I'll do the same thing, because that really helped me to grow as a person I am. So I carried buckets, I built rings, I built, I worked in the gym, I traveled with fighters. So I've done kind of everything in the sport to get to where I am, which really helped me as a,
Do you think there is a growing social culture that everyone wants to look smart, but without any substance?
Yeah, I think that's also a bit with the social media these days, so it's easy. People want to project the image of they are an expert, and that expertise would have been gained from not be from real experience, or spending time in something. So then you can project it for a week, for a month, for a year, but then it's gonna look shallow. Because then you may look expert to a outsider, but to a person in the industry, you may look like a novice, So I was not even into going out and doing podcasts or speak or having social media, but because it's a very much of a need right now, that's why I even pushing myself to do it. And I was okay in public speaking, but I was never so enthusiastic about content creation. But now I feel like I have to do it. That's why I'm okay, I need to say the story of
No, I asked you because you said no, that there were some coaches who came up and they were not really knowing the details, but yet they were projecting themselves in a particular manner.
Yeah,
And
because
therefore, I asked you that question.
yeah, it is tough, and it's like, and even for me, from being from having an Indian passport and from in India, it was tough to be accepted in sport, which is not, which is not, which is not like connected to India in any sense, because like if somebody comes from Norway and he gonna example, you're from India and you're a die-hard cricket fan, not an administrator or not a person who works in the sport, but a fan. So for a fan, like a guy who comes from Norway or Sweden gonna tell you about the technicalities of cricket, it will be like, excuse me, like I grew up watching cricket. You're from Sweden or Norway. What are you gonna teach me about cricket, right? So it's very hard to. I don't blame them, but it's a very hard mentally to for people to accept you in the early, because you don't come from that background. And I was even
not from that region.
Not from the region, and also from background. I also played the sport on a very basic level. I was not like an Olympian or something to be accepted also on this level. But then it took time. But I think my experience and the things I explained, I've done kind of everything in the sport because I had to do it, because we had to build it from the scratch, which gained me that respect and time by time. So people, that trust was built over the time. Then even if someone from UK, they know, like, now boxing community knows what I'm doing and they know, so I don't need to start from zero. There is something that is built. But otherwise, building that trust also took a lot of time, because it's you can't also blame people because it doesn't add up.
How can someone be very powerful today in the corporate world?
Very powerful in the corporate world. Like, how do you define power? Like, what do you?
Very influential.
Influential in the corporate. Yeah, I think your influence carries to your reach, and how much people you could reach to in your industry or outside the industry. So, and also like how much weight. I think it's your network. How strong is your network?
Because today, when we look at something, some people say that my social media following is, if I have a good level of following, I will say I'm powerful. Some people say that if I have an established business, I'm powerful. Where is the blend of this? Saying that, okay, I'm a powerful entrepreneur because you formed this company, you built this company, you have credibility on this organization that you have set up. But how do you say that you're a powerful businessman or a powerful entrepreneur?
One thing is,
how do you gain that authority?
I think one thing is your first is like your self-belief and your team. If you can't do it alone, right? You need to build a team. So if you build a team around you, and the team and your confidence in your team and the team's confidence in you is there, that builds a base. Like your followers and all doesn't make any sense if you are not good enough and if your team is not good. Then everything will be shallow. Your followers can come and go, and your followers not going to translate into a business or you will not be able to monetize the following you have if you don't have the right structure. So I believe your self-confidence and your material, how good are you at what you're doing, plus your team is your cornerstone. And then in this world, depending on the industry, you may need following, you may not need following. Like I'm not going to get a single business from Instagram. And I don't need, because my followers are not my customers. My followers are promoters, and there is only 10 promoters in the world, and everybody has my phone number. So I don't need people to see me on Instagram to get business. So there are businesses which operate on that model. Like you don't need to be on social media to get business, but then you will have. But do you want to does it make sense to be on social media for me to go out and say my story? Yeah, it really makes sense because I want people to know like what I have done in the past, and it may help someone or it may help me to build that following. And sometimes I will have to say stories. I have to go out and say things. So which may appeal to a hardcore boxing person, but if I have to appeal to a normal sports fan or an individual, my following really makes sense. Just to send a message out, not for me to build my business, because my business nature is different. So I think it's very subjective.
How can social media help to promote boxing?
Okay, social media for fighters, it's amazing. For fighters and promoters, you need to have social media. If now the boxing has changed so much, your purse really depends on how much influence you have. So it is social media, or if it's like your, how much people you bring to how much in UK your purse when you start fighting is how much ticket do you sell? Are you a 100 ticket seller? Are you 200? Are you a 500? Your purse stays in the level of your ticket. What is a ticket seller? And when you become a star, it's like you sell a stadium, you sell an arena. Like the superstars, they can sell out an arena, right? So that's like if you go back to the old school days, right? That's how how does a person becomes a star, like a comedian or a stand-up guy or a singer? Like, if you can bring 5,000 people, then he's like personality, a star. If you if you can fill a hall, he's an artist, he's a performer. You say, oh, he sells 500 tickets. The same thing with the sport. But these days now, that's there. Plus the social media has add to it. But there is funny, I want to give another side too. There are influencers who fights and who don't sell any tickets. Their YouTube following is millions, Instagram following is millions, but their fans don't want to pay money and buy tickets to watch them fight.
Oh,
because maybe they're so you need to find the right athlete who has following and whose fans are ready to buy the tickets and come to watch.
Crazy fans.
Otherwise, that's the job of a promoter. Otherwise, the promoter will think that, oh, he has this much following, but if his following doesn't translate into buying pay-per-view or buying tickets, then what is the point, right? Ultimately, you follow the money. If there is no money made from the following, what is the point? So you want to have a fighter who has 5,000 following, but he can sell 500 tickets. Imagine you're a promoter. You have a fighter who has only 5,000 following, but he brings 1,000 people to the venue. You have another fighter who has 100,000 following, but he only sells 100 tickets. But he has a more social media presence, not bot followers, not anything, but real followers. But he only sells 100 tickets. But the other guy has only 5,000 fan following, but he's famous in the neighborhood. He has a good community. He also plays football. He brings a lot of friends and families, and he brings 500 people. So who do you go with? A guy who's doing a small show, he would go with the 500.
100%. Because it's like correct. Like today you're saying that as a sportsman, I have to master the sports as well as I have to master crowd pulling.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, together only you become a trophy for me.
You become otherwise if you are a promoter, why do you it's not charity, right? So why are you running the business? Why do you become a promoter? You want to be a promoter because you're best at what you're doing and you want to make money. And you want to make money, where the money comes from the fans. And who brings the fans? The fighters. If a fighter cannot bring the fans, then what are you trying to do?
Yeah. And the perfect example can be Virat Kohli. I mean, he's someone who's mastered the cricket. At the same time, he's also able to pull crowd to watch his game.
He's built a fan base also. So same thing in every sport. It's same thing. So
Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, these people have even while they're playing, even when they're good in their sports, they are also able to draw attention of people. I think they are able to blend that both part of their sportsmanship.
Yeah, this makes a big difference. And there is also, I'll give you average now these days, like influencers, fighters who are above average or just average, but they have a fan following, so they get paid. They get paid well. But there are fighters who are Olympic level athletes, great talent, but can't speak a word. No, like don't have that charisma, cannot bring crowd. Nobody wants them on the show. So if imagine I'm leaving my commission side apart, my role, I'm putting myself in a promoter role. Why should I promote someone who's not gonna make me money? Because I don't have any hidden agenda, right? I'm here to do this business and make money. So I'm not sympathizing with a talent and a good character. I'm bringing on board someone who sells tickets and make the show and appeal to the broadcaster and to the people and make money for me. Otherwise, I'm not doing justice to my business.
But do you think AI can help these sportsmen to promote themselves? Because physically they can play, and digitally some AI can help them.
Yeah, I mean, people who kids who are using AI, like I mean, the young athletes, I think they are already using AI to help themselves, to manage the social media and to do the scripts, and also there are private agencies who are like now helping and managing, like even for entrepreneurs, or because it's became like so much of a niche. It's better for me, like imagine like someone like me, I can't be good at, or I don't want to be good at social media. I would prefer someone else to do it for me because I don't feel a passion for it. But I know it's very relevant. I know it's very relevant. It's very important. It's very good. But like, I admit that I'm not good at it. So in my case, I would let someone good at it do it for me, and I just follow their lead. And just, if I can speak, I can post for a picture or somebody can take my video, but for me to strategize it, put it together, to feel happy about seeing I don't genuinely feel happy when someone likes my, it doesn't, it's not but if when I do an event or if I'm part of a project, I feel happy. When I meet a person in person, I feel happy, but somebody comments on my picture, I don't feel anything. So if I would have been happy about that, I would have genuinely put more time, put more effort into social media. But because I don't feel, I don't get excited about it, so I don't do it. But I know because it's important, you better find someone to do it. So if athletes who are genuinely interested in it, let them do it themselves or use AI. But if otherwise, let them find someone to do it, because it's equally needed as a coach. You need to have a coach. You need to have a coach. You need to have a manager. You need to have, if you're going to be famous beyond a level, now you need to have your digital personality and your social media taken care of. Otherwise, in this world now, it's no.
So do you believe that in another 3 or 4 years, either by force or voluntarily, everyone has to be on social media?
I mean, if you want to make money, yes. Or if you want to stay relevant, yes. Otherwise, you need to be in that specific area. There will be still specific domains where you don't need to be on social media. Right? Like, I mean, where your clients or your clients or your people who are, or you don't need to generate money from social media, then it's your call.
People have to physically find you.
People has not physically find you. Like, if your clients are like 10 people, 10 companies, and that companies don't need to find you on anywhere, they know who you are, then you don't need to. Right.
The last part, I'll do a little rapid fire show. Okay. Just maybe you can just choose. Okay. Muhammad Ali or Floyd Mayweather?
Muhammad Ali.
Is talent valuable or hard work?
Hard work from a talented guy.
Discipline or motivation?
Discipline.
Toughest quality to teach a boxer?
Toughest quality to
teach a boxer?
Technically or?
Any quality.
Technically.
Any quality.
Technically, I think it's defense. It's hard to teach defense. Some people are good at defense, or it's like very hard to teach defense. Mental wise, I think patience in the career, because there will be phases when there are fights. He makes money, he don't make money. It will be a pause for 6 months, 1 year. You don't have a fight, so you need to believe as manager that hey, things will get better, wait, your opportunity will come, you know. But sometimes you lose it. So patience is hard to teach. And inside the ring, defense is hard to teach.
One quality that every champion should possess.
I think a champion should have, I think, humility, and like empathy is something which the champion should have, and I think the champion will have it.
What's the best advice that you have received?
My advice I have received, like in the sport or outside the sport?
In your profession.
In the profession, like, okay, it is one thing is, see, when you have a problem, don't react on it. Like, give it a time, so that sometimes 80% situations it get taken care of by itself. So don't be reactive. You have an issue today. If need not to be addressed on the same spot, just leave it. Sleep over it. Tomorrow morning, maybe 80% situations it gets solved. And it sometimes, most of the time, it works for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't react on it. But then it also makes me lazy. I wait on it to get fixed, but then sometimes I have to do it. So it also, it's like a line between procrastination and giving. You say, like, you let the God or nature to work on it, rather than you being the first person.
Did you come across any athlete who have been continuously been defeated and then have still come back?
There is a lot of comebacks too. Many comebacks too in boxing. No.
And what's the mindset of a comeback athlete?
It's like such belief. When everyone in the room doesn't believe you need to have the balls to be the only guy. You still believe, and you put your and the hard thing about the sport is, like, in boxing, you're putting your life in danger. In another sport, you still believe in yourself. If no one believes, and you go and play the sport, you're still gonna come back to your home. But here, it can be a one-way track. You're putting your life in danger. So it's tough.
Did you come across athletes who will like cried and wept and tired of the sport?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of blood and sweat and tears in it. Like, people get really, especially, like, sometimes decisions don't go their way. They have done everything. And sometimes you have done everything and you lose, you feel disappointed. Sometimes you've done everything and you win. And then it may be an unfair decision. So then people break down, because it's like their whole life and career depends on it. That's why, like, the integrity in judging and officiating is very important, because you're responsible for people's career. You're responsible they are the breadwinners for the family. So you're kind of taking a foot from the table, which is unfair, correct. So, yeah. So
did you come across athletes that went into depression?
I know personal cases of people who have been into depression and who came back and being world champions. Wow. Even our the current heavyweight champion, Tyson Fury, had like up and down. So he was overweight and
he had a patch of depression
and mental issues. And and I also had like another legend who was who had depression and suicidal tendencies, and then he became a world. Ricky Hatton is famous in UK, and then he was supposed to fight in Dubai against a friend of mine whose name is Isal Dar. He's the first Emirati pro boxer, and then the preparations were going on, and he suicided. So it's so he was fighting the suicidal tendencies and everything, but
no one knew about it.
But he overcome it. He came back. So, but now, I mean, so it's a tough world, like this, the sport.
Thank you, Jose, for this. And my last advice would be to young entrepreneurs that are planning to build businesses in this region. What would be your advice? How to navigate with a tough mind, with a strong belief, with a long-time vision. How to navigate this journey while building an organization, while building their entrepreneurship journey?
See, first I think as an entrepreneur is to build yourself, but building yourself happens while you're building the business. So it comes by experience. Nobody starts perfect, right? Everybody grows and builds themselves on the journey. So build yourself, build your team, right team in whatever what you want to achieve, and do it if you really are ready for the bad days and for the hard work, and if you can be a giver, don't come into entrepreneurship if you think that it's all like glamour and good days and sunshine. Do it if you're ready for the lonely nights and depression and ups and downs and uncertainty and self-doubt. And if you're ready for all this, you're open to it. So it has its own upside, it has its own very down side of it. Sometimes you don't. So sometimes I even self-doubt. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm not built for it. But then I gave it the time. I have my lows, and then eventually it changes and things start getting better. So you never have it's always it's a mix of your highs and lows. Like your peaks gives you that pump, but then it follows.
In your experience, which are those entrepreneurs that, or maybe you can say, how do you differentiate a good entrepreneur from someone who's struggling?
Differentiate? I think I differentiate from someone who is to build sustainable models. Somebody who's not. People who are looking for short-term fixes is not going to survive. People who are solving long-term problems, I believe those are really the real ones. Who are in for short-term opportunities, like I'll call them hustlers. A hustler makes money. He may in short term, he would even make money more than an entrepreneur. Like he will get some quick deals, like he sees short opportunities, short windows. It's good. There's nothing wrong about it. Some are built to be hustlers. Some are built to be But then to be a hustler, you don't need to have that leadership caution. You can be yourself. You can be just you. But to be an entrepreneur, you need to be. You need to also have that leadership in you. You need to be the last person taking from the pot. Sometimes you give it. Sometimes you give everyone, and then there may not be something left for you. You should be still happy with it, not feel like hard about it
Or empty about
it. So if you're a giver, if you think long term, then entrepreneurship is for you. If you wanna make money, be a hustler, that's also a different game. I don't say one is better than other, but it's two different things. So to be a leader or an entrepreneur, I think you need to have that long term vision that takes you there.
Thank you so much, Jose, for this beautiful show and for sharing some of your experiences. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't, because I'm very from a boxing niche space. I don't know how much I would be able to connect to your audience, but I'm happy the time I spent with you, and it was a great experience.
Thank you so much. Yeah.